On January 22nd, 2025, it is 3 years since the passing of Thich Nhat Hanh, often addressed affectionately by his followers as Thai teacher. He was one of the key figures of a generation of Buddhist charismatic leaders, such as the Dalai Lama, Shulak Shivaraksha, or Daisuke Ikeda, who significantly shaped contemporary, socially engaged Buddhism. Thich Nhat Hanh founded the Order of Interbeing and coined the term engaged Buddhism, inspired by the writings of the Chinese Buddhist monk Taixu and a generation of Asian Buddhists who worked tirelessly to reshape Buddhism as globally connected, compatible with modernity, and applicable to today's society. Buddhism underwent profound change in the 20th century, and the discourse on engaged Buddhism is central to our understanding of this development. Still, it is not only because Thich Nhat Hanh is key to contemporary Buddhism that I chose to highlight him in our series. He also worked towards establishing sustainable peace. And this makes him not only a historical figure, but somebody whose message might be precious to recall in the present, shaped by emerging conflicts. Thich Nhat Hanh was Vietnamese, exiled in 1966 and returned to his home temple near Hue towards the end of his life. During the Vietnam War, fierce and draining battles raged between North and South Vietnam, nourished by an ideological conflict between communist forces and what Thich Nhat Hanh recalls as personalism. South Vietnam was oriented towards capitalism supported by the United States of America. Thich Nhat Hanh's first writings on engaged Buddhism occurred in 1954, around the time when the Vietnam War was about to start. In his book, Vietnam, Lotus in a Sea of Fire, published in 1967, we see him analyzing the situation historically and opting for sustainable peace and reconciliation. How can peace come about? Thich Nhat Hanh was convinced that peace can grow only if we develop our mutual understanding. And he made his voice heard in society. He published his poems and thoughts, he created structures, founded a monastic movement, as well as educational institutions. And he strongly networked. He met with Martin Luther King Jr., who became aware of the situation in Vietnam and nominated Thich Nhat Hanh for the Nobel Peace Prize. He visited Pope Paul VI, who sent an ambassador to Vietnam. Peace does not come by itself. It needs engagement. Thich Nhat Hanh is convinced. In this way, engaged Buddhism implies a concrete commitment. It can mean charity work or educational engagement. For Thich Nhat Hanh, in the context of the Vietnam War, it meant working for peace and the search for reconciliation in the public sphere. Beyond the Vietnamese context, Thich Nhat Hanh is widely known for his practice and teaching of mindfulness, the art of being present in the moment, watching oneself attentively, and transforming one's habits and emotions. This self-cultivation allows to perceive the world in its interconnectedness, complexity. It allows to develop an attitude of interbeing that avoids taking sides and being biased. Thich Nhat Hanh reformulated classical Buddhist teachings, applying them to the present, and his movement certainly is representative of an open, less conservative Buddhism. He developed his Buddhist teachings in the tradition of Zen Buddhism. Listening to his speeches, his convictions translate into the aesthetics of simplicity and show in the way how he consciously engages in selected topics and concentrates on the essentials as a way of life. As an academic in the history of religions, it can be fascinating to analyze how his charisma in a Weberian sense unfolds. Thich Nhat Hanh is remembered for his active engagement in Vietnam and internationally known for his cultivation of mindfulness. These two cannot be seen apart from each other. It might be inspirational to remember him at the start of this year, 3 years after his passing. My name is Esther-Maria Guggenmos at the Center for Theology and Religious Studies at Lund University. Thank you for listening.